Welcome to Berry Games, home of gaming. Of course, the PlayStation 5 Pro backlash is still brewing on as consumers aren't really too happy with the launch and the release of the PS5 Pro, the way that they're going about it. Of course, the PS5 Pro announcement gives players a glimpse into this generation's midlife refresh with advancements coming to Sony's flagship console. However, the announcement, as I just said, hasn't really gone down too well, with large sections of the players and the internet going buku nuts. From minimal new features to an arguably unjustly amount of money to purchase one, the PS5 Pro isn't doing too hot right now. As of days go on, many are beginning to look back and wonder just how the announcement compares to the initial reveal of the PS4 Pro. Because the PS4 Pro was also a midlife refresh, touted as the big new change for the PlayStation 4. Of course, it was a similar situation of advancement, and crazy to think that console was remembered with so much love and hype when it was actually released. Like, people at the time were glad that released to get some new power. It wasn't like a bad backlash like Sony is getting right now. But of course, when you look back at it, it did kind of have the same criticisms as the PS5 Pro. And I just want to go through what made those launchers so different and what made the PS4 Pros so memorable. But before we get into it, I'd really appreciate it if you could just smash that like button and hit that subscribe bell, as it really does help me out for the YouTube algorithm. And without further ado, let's get right into it. So right off the bat, the first difference between the PS4 and the PS5 Pro are in the reveals, as the announcement videos generated hype for those who are viewing them. When you go and rewatch the original video for the PS4 Pro, it was intense and super mysterious. It brought intrigue to the console. It felt like it was dropping a monumental piece within gaming. This is something that helps when announcing anything to do with games, whether consoles or title. That level of intrigue and ambiguity. Of course, another example is when games are announced with almost shock value added to the end of a trailer as it pulls the player in. However, the PS5 Pro's announcement does the exact opposite. While it is a technical presentation compared to an announcement of sorts, it feels almost disingenuous. The presentation of the console feels akin to the yearly iPhone announcement, and while Mark Cerny does well describing the console, it seems like it's being badgered with a monotone sales pitch. Announcing a console needs to feel like there's some soul to it rather than an emptiness with the PS5 Pro. It feels like the latter, of course, and in an announcement video isn't the only thing to go off of, but makes a difference, and just from that, many are feeling turned off by the PS5 Pro compared to the PS4. Of course, the PS4 Pro's announcement still shows a big leap forward for video games, especially PlayStation. Players got to experience games in a 4K resolution, something that consoles had not been capable of until then. Additionally, the GPU was beefed up with USB transfer speeds that were faster, making a big difference for starting up and transferring games. Furthermore, the leap in tech was incredible and noticeable by many during the announcement. The PS4 Pro was taking players in a much clearer direction for the future. When it comes to the PS5 Pro, however, it was much more of a muted story. During the announcement, 3 big new features were highlighted. 2 of those include a larger GPU and advanced ray tracing. But of course, those are redundant, and many know that the GPU provides ray tracing, so therefore trying to sell it as multiple features felt really off and just felt like a bad vibe, of course. Furthermore, many players didn't really notice any major graphical improvements during the presentation, and Sony deliberately hid the fact that many games that show PS4 or PS5 Pro enhanced badge can actually be running at 30 FPS. There are technicalities in getting that badge, and it doesn't mean you're getting 60 FPS all the time, which is really fake of Sony in my opinion. And of course, being able to keep 4K 60 FPS with some games doesn't really feel like a big of a jump. of course, than the PS4 Pro, going from 1080p to 4K. Like, that is a huge difference, of course. The difference are minimal. It isn't that much of a big difference, and it just seems like Sony just didn't stick the landing with this launch. Of course, overall, the PS5 Pro is not sitting right with many people online. The tech doesn't feel all that worth the $700 price tag. Many are still disappointed that the content on the PlayStation 5 Pro is still lacking. We didn't get any new game announcements with this, and while the same sentiment could be said following the PS4 Pro, we did get some new games with that, and furthermore, the increase in price was around 100 or 150 bucks for the PS4 Pro. This is something that is also much more justifiable, especially with what the console offers compared to the base PS4, which is so much more vast compared to what the PS5 Pro does. And of course, all the features were intact rather than sold separately. However, when you rewatch the PS5 Pro announcement, it does feel a little distasteful, and as a PlayStation 5 owner myself, it seems like the mark has been missed quite a bit. Rather than focus on what players want, with the majority seeming to want stable frame rates, we got more clearer pixels. While there is some better tech, it's not good enough for a massive premium increase in price. Additionally, with components such as the disk drive and even the vertical stand, like, they probably pay only $1 to make that, and they can't put it in the box. That is absolutely insane. This is your pro console, bro. What are you doing? But of course, they all put it together last minute, kinda, and in an age where gaming, where people keeping close eyes on things, and it seems like the PS5 Pro announcement just isn't going to be as monumental as the PS4 Pro was in any way, shape, or form. Of course, it is unfortunate that it launched this way, but it is probably still going to sell out the first batch in the US. It does seem to be on track, and many scalpers are already picking up the disk drives, so prepare to not have stock in those when the PS5 Pro comes out. You're probably gonna have to pay some kind of premium for it, which is unfortunate. These scalpers ruin everything when it comes to Sony, especially. They are the worst with that company, as they are the most popular right now. But it is kind of bad what's happening with this launch. The PS4 Pro launched in much better terms, and it worked out so much better. They stuck the landing 10 times out of 10 on that. But of course, guys, I really want to know what you think about all this down in the comments below, because I just really wanted to compare a couple of the key features that made these consoles look apart. And of course, guys, a comment, I always read all of them. A like always helps out the channel, and as always, have a great day.